The Lavender Town of Lavender Town. A quaint little town with a big, creepy vibe. Could it be the eerie purple stones? Could it be all the old people? Or could it have something to do with the Tower of Dead Pokémon? Well, that's not really any of my business. The only thing that is my business is how is the local economy doing? And that is what we are going to find out today as we do yet another unemployment survey in the world of Kanto, this time for Lavender Town. Okay, hello everybody, welcome back to another unemployment survey. Does anyone out there know what the best way to get a sense of the local unemployment is? That's right, we're doing a direct survey of the population, which means we're going to talk to every single person here, determine their employment status, and then at the end we will synthesize all of that information and present it to you in a press conference. We'll start by surveying everybody outside, then we'll go inside and take care of everybody else. So without further ado, let's walk on over to this lady here and start. Hello, lady. Take one look at this lady and you can tell exactly what her job is. Old. Retirement. So what about you, lady? This lady says, do you believe in ghosts? I don't believe in ghosts, ma'am. I'm a data-driven person. That white hand on your shoulder, I'm just imagining it. Okay, this is child behavior right here. Trying to pull a prank on a local government official. Come on. It's the behavior of a child. It's crazy how much money they must have spent on dyeing all of this, like, stone. Unless it's like that rubber. You know, have you ever been to like a children's playground where it has like that rubber floor? Maybe that's what this is. It's like printed rubber. What about you, sir? This town is famous for all the graves made here for Pokemon. They hold memorial services in Pokemon Tower. Okay. His clothes are nice. Got a nice haircut. It's not really helpful. I mean, the rule we typically use is that if there's no reason to believe someone's employed, that they're probably unemployed, assuming they're eligible, which I guess kind of means too bad, so sad. This person says, I bet someone brave like you could go up the Pokemon Tower, no problem. That also sounds like a child talking. Like, that's how a kid talks. You're never going to walk up to someone on the street and like an adult who has a job, and they're not going to go to you, I bet someone brave like you could go to the local haunted house. It's just not, that's not how adults talk. So we have another child. I think that's everybody outside, and there's not a single bit of employment. But, to be fair, most of the time, employment places are inside buildings. So I imagine once we get in the buildings, it's gonna, it's gonna start to shoot up. So in terms of buildings, why don't we start where we know there's gonna be employment? The Mart. Oh man, there's a lot of people in here. First of all, an easy one. Everyone's favorite handsome Mart worker. Then we got another kid right here. Little Sonic the Hedgehog kid, as I like to say. And now we got this working age gentleman here. He's shopping, so that's a good sign that he has money. I'm searching for items that boost a Pokemon stats for the length of one battle. Okay, do you know where I can get them? Probably here. What are you, blind? Oh my god. He is blind. All right. So what do we know? Well-dressed man. I mean, usually when we see a person who's dressed like this, we go, probably, just based on how they're dressed, this looks like someone who probably has a job, right? Belt, tucked-in shirt, balding hair, indicating stress, nice shoes, he's shopping. Signs point to yes. And, he does kind of have, like, divorced father buying a gift for, like, his kid that lives with his mother, and he doesn't really understand all this Pokemon battle nonsense because he's too busy having a job. Yeah, you know what? I'm convinced. This man's employed. All right, what about you, child? I hate that every time we meet these kids that are dressed in these outfits, they get my blood starts boiling. I think I must have been bullied by someone who dressed like this at some point because there's something deep. Anyway, that's it for the Mart. Now we're going to go to the Pokemon Center, which will also definitely have some employment. That's the nice thing about Pokemon, is you're never going to find a place with no employment, right? Because everywhere has a Pokemon Center, everywhere has a Mart. And anywhere that has a Pokemon Center has a nurse, and that nurse is employed. Nurse Joy, more like Nurse Employ. Then we got one of these guys. Team Rocket will do anything for the sake of money. These guys are always complaining about Team Rocket. They're always complaining. It's like the people complaining about the gangs. Look at how you're dressed. How many people did you defraud when you were making your money so you could retire and dress like that? How many dubious loans did you write? Like, that's what I'm saying. It's all the same stuff. We complain, but you do the same thing anyway. Is this guy actively working? Maybe. But he's in a hospital, so he's probably just visiting his wife is probably in a Pokeball getting healed or something, so like his old lady wife, so I'm gonna assume he's just retired, which means he doesn't count. Another Sonic the Hedgehog kid standing like a Sonic the Hedgehog kid. And then we have this lady. Hi. Do Cantonian Diglett look smooth? My Diglett looks prickly. Do you want to trade Diglett? No. I don't think I'm old enough. You're playing hardball. What are we talking about here? You think these three are together? You think it's her kid, and then this grandpa? You think they're part of one group? They're all kind of visiting the same person in the hospital? I do feel like a lot of the time people with jobs don't have time to be MILFs. You know? I don't know why I think that, but it seems like typically the sort of like I'm trying to sleep with the strapping young enumerator from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. That's like a quality that comes from people who are stay-at-home moms, possibly of this child. So we'll say she's a stay-at-home mom, which means she's not applicable. And then over here we have, this has got to be a child, right? It's definitely a child. Yeah, she says, I was so scared. Everyone knows adults don't get scared. Okay, next, let's look in here. What is this? Pokemon house, where love is volunteered freely. Okay, who's in here? Bald guy, 2 children. What are you doing, sir? Oh, it's Mr. Fuji. I've heard of him. Okay, so we have Mr. Fuji hanging out in, kind of looks like a daycare, to be honest. Is it like an orphanage? Like maybe Mr. Fuji runs an orphanage called the Pokemon house. I could see that, but I guess I'm just confused as to what is he doing? Because he's got the kids like cooking, you can see over there, which is what orphans do. They cook and clean. Yeah, I think Mr. Fuji is an orphanage owner. That's weird, but it's a job, probably, right? So Mr. Fuji's employed. Even though he probably could retire based on that those wrinkles. Now let's go into these people's houses, see how they're doing. 1 child alone in a house, again with the kids. And then this house just has 1 old man in it who says, be sure to name your Pokemon with love. After all, nobody wants to have a silly name. You should go tell that to Mr. Fuji. It's not a silly name, actually. That was kind of racist of me to say that. We've looked in all of the buildings. We've talked to all the people outside. So there's only one more place that we have to look, which is this giant tower, which I believe is it's a tower full of Pokemon corpses, dead Pokemon, which is weird, but maybe a place of employment? I don't know. It's kind of like a church. I guess churches are filled with people who will soon be dead, not dead people, but actually it looks kind of official in here. This does sort of look like a place of employment. There's a lot of adults, so that explains all the kids are out and about in the streets during the day, and all the adults hang out in the Pokemon Tower. What are you? He says, I can't forget my dearly departed Clefairy. Oh, he's crying. I interrupted his funeral. Jeez. I don't mean to be insensitive, sir, but I do need to know. Do you have a job? So he's dressed like that other guy who had a job. Shirt's tucked in. Hairline is receding. He says, oh, this won't do. I'm awash in tears. Which tells me that he's uncomfortable crying in front of people, which is the type of thing that like a man with a job would say. He's crying and then he's catching himself and going, I've got to stop crying. I got to pull it together. Pull it together for what? A job. I think that's the best I'm going to get. So I'm going to say this guy's employed.
You can see how people feel that your consensus is a little reductive at times.
Well, here's what I can tell you. This lady behind the counter, probably employed. This seems like a receptionist, right? She's standing behind a desk, helping people check in, helping people find their Pokemon graves or whatever. And then there's this person here. Seems like some sort of religious figure, but does appear to be sort of like watching the entrance to the Pokemon Tower. So, I mean, employed, question mark, right? It's as good as you're gonna get. We could probably count the girl up here as a child. She looks pretty young, so let's do that for ease. Okay, which just leaves this lady. Part of me feels with this lady like maybe like just retired energy, because she doesn't look elderly. Like she's not knocking on heaven's door, as they say. Like, why does she feel newly retired to me? What prejudice am I tapping into there? I guess there's something like about, she says bless your heart to me, which is kind of like grandma behavior. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's because she says bless your heart, and that just reminds me of like a nice old lady. So maybe that's why I think she's recently retired. So yeah, I guess that's what I'm gonna go with. I can't see anything else that's gonna give me a better clue. Now, the only other place we have to go is upstairs, and I'm not exactly sure what we'll find since it is a graveyard, right? It's just loads of, dead Pikachus and stuff, or whatever. But we do have a bunch of these people, and we did say that the person downstairs that was dressed like that worked here, and graveyards do need attendants. They need people to, like, clean them. So I'm guessing all these people are probably employed, right? So this person's employed. This person's employed. These two people are also employed. And then we got 1 more, 2 more, 3 more, 4 and 5 more. Good God. Man, this is a really tall tower, which is what a tower is. Got another master trainer here at the top and nobody else. But yeah, okay, so look at this. Have you ever been in one of those graveyards where you see a person that's interred in something like this elaborate? And then you look it up and it's like some family that has like $7 trillion. Those things cost like multiple tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars. So imagine how much it would cost if it was in a skyscraper and for a pet. So that does explain where all the money came from for them to paint this town lavender colored. So I guess it probably is good business. Anyway, that's going to be the last of the people we have to survey in Lavender Town. I'm going to send all of this data off to the Bureau. We're going to put it together for a press conference, and I'll have that for you in 3, 2, 1, press conference. Hello, folks. Hi. Welcome back to another press conference from your favorite Bureau of Labor Statistics. Today, we have the employment situation summary for the town of Lavender Town. In Kanto. Returning to Kanto today. We have no additional information for you, so let's get the press conference started. Total surface payroll employment in Lavender Town is at 22 persons, and unemployment is at 4.3%, the Bureau of Labor Statistics reported today. Lavender Town is a small municipality in East Kanto with a population of 40, that's 40, majority working age, but with a sustainable spread of the young and old. Lavender Town features 2 of the 3 Kanto standard amenities with a Pokémon hospital and a general supply store, but lacks the presence of a Pokémon gym for traveling Pokémon trainers to compete at. This marks the first city we've surveyed since Pallet Town that hasn't had a gym as a defining feature. That's going to play a big role in some of our conclusions coming up. In theory, the lack of a gym differentiates Lavender Town from the Bureau's previous surveys of Kanto, but in practice, the social and economic structure isn't vastly different. Where Pokemon gyms often serve as centers of culture and political power in a particular region, Lavender Town, in its absence, instead has an institution called the Pokémon Tower. The tower is a spiritual temple of sorts where whose primary service seems to be interring deceased Pokemon of the region's wealthiest citizens, and like a Pokemon gym, its role is culturally significant to the town as well as economically crucial. Nearly 2/3, and this is a remarkable statistic, nearly 2/3 of the employed citizens in Lavender Town are employed by this Pokemon Tower, making it one of the least diversified economies the Bureau has looked at so far, and also directly tying the fate of Lavender Town to the fate of the tower. If Pokemon interment should go out of style, one can't help but wonder what happens to Lavender Town. Indeed, the only other unique place of business in the city seems to be some kind of foster home or orphanage, and it doesn't take a great imagination to make assumptions about where the funding for that institution is probably coming from. This doesn't leave Lavender Town with a lot of options economically. As good as it is to see non-chain business in an otherwise fairly homogeneous region, the obvious solution to this would be to allow the governing body to build a Pokemon gym in the town, or perhaps to lobby one of the neighboring gyms to move in. Lavender Town is geographically small, but its population of 40 actually puts it ahead of cities like Viridian City. As such, an economic crisis, like if the Pokemon Tower sort of went out of business or whatever, if any sort of terrorist or problem happened with it, because of the high population, the surrounding communities, if there was a problem with the Pokemon Tower, it would be a much larger problem for the surrounding communities than, say, a collapse of the single industry economy of Pallet Town. The former would have a large number of culturally distinct individuals with very specific job skills tumbling into the neighboring cities, which may or may not be able to absorb them easily. And the latter would just see a handful or largely non-working people integrate into the already similar Viridian City to the north. So a big problem for Lavender Town indeed. In this way, Lavender Town is yet another example of low unemployment rates not being inherently positive. And another reason why approaching these situations with nuance and being thoughtful about your analysis on a case-by-case basis is the Bureau's daily mission. 4.3% puts Lavender Town in the top 3 of our list, despite everything we've said, ahead of Pewter City and Kanto, but just behind the imperial capital of Solitude in Skyrim. This data was conducted by the Bureau, or the data was gathered in a survey conducted over a single day. And that brings our total city count to 15 surveyed municipalities. It's a low unemployment rate for Lavender Town, but obviously a complex situation. So it'll be interesting to see how the entirety of Kanto sort of shapes as we do more surveys. We are more than halfway done, or we're about halfway done, I should say, with surveying Kanto, so it should be sooner rather than later. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, post a comment down below to say that you liked it. That tells me that I'm making what you want to see, which is what I want to do, because I'm here to serve you. If you want to help me out, you can go to patreon.com/Annie_Austin. That's how I get my support, and that's mostly it. That's pretty much the end of it. So, as usual, I've got a song for you today. A big uptick in people listening to the tunes, which I appreciate very much. We're up to like thousands of monthly listeners on Spotify, which is so cool. So thank you very much for that. Enjoy the song, and I will see you next time.